Good evening. My name is Lisa Rimpf, and I am the Director of Regions on the Society Board of Directors. Tonight, we celebrate the next generation of engineers, SWE members, and organizations who have impacted SWE's mission to becoming the world's largest advocate and catalyst for change for women in engineering and technology. May their stories of success contribute to your future as they demonstrate how they meet locally and learn socially. Tonight, we begin by recognizing an organization who contributed to the success of We Local Portland on many levels, from communications to their attendance at the career fair. It is with honor I invite Jennifer Bly from Intel to the stage. On behalf of SWE and We Local Portland, we thank Intel for supporting the 2018 We Local Portland Conference at a platinum level sponsorship. With this sponsorship, you are contributing to our success as women in STEM.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It is my privilege to represent Intel and accept this recognition for our platinum sponsorship of We Local Portland this year. I am very proud that Intel has been a close partner of SWE for almost 14 years through the Corporate Partnership Council, has a strong presence at the career fair, and is a leader amongst companies worldwide for its support of diversity in general. If you haven't heard, Intel has an audacious goal to achieve full representation for women and underrepresented minorities in the STEM fields by the end of this year, 2018. We are very proud to be setting the standard for companies around us and helping to create a future where all people are valued for who they are and not what they are. After all, whether we are enabling the future of autonomous driving, autonomous vehicle technology, or connecting billions of people and their devices globally, thereby revolutionizing a smart 5G future, or developing commercial drone hardware and technology, which is my current area of focus, we will not excel or accelerate technology to the fastest level possible without diversity at all levels in our company. While at the conference, I am energized by connecting and reconnecting with my new and seasoned networks, and hope your experience has been the same. I'm already looking forward to We Local Bellevue in 2019. Woohoo! And the next time we meet locally and learn socially. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of the evening's events. Now I have the privilege. Let's get to tonight's keynote speaker, Miss Dorota Shortell. Dorota has not only been a member of SWE since 1995, but she is also a SWE Life member. And as a SWE Life member, Dorota wants you to consider the following question. Have you wondered what it takes to be a CEO? Or perhaps question if there is a special recipe to be a CEO? Well, Dorota is an engineer who took over as the founder of Simplexity Product Development after working with the company as a senior mechanical engineer, project manager, and the director of the Vancouver office. During Dorota's tenure, Simplexity's top-line revenue has more than quadrupled, and the company has more than tripled in employees. In 2017, Simplexity was selected by Inc. magazine as one of the best workplaces in America, and by the San Diego Business Journal as one of the top fastest growing companies. Dorota is also National Science Foundation Fellow, Tau Beta Pi Fellow, and Institute for the Advancement of Engineering Fellow. In 2013, she was recognized by the Portland Business Journal as one of the region's top business leaders as a 40 Under 40 award winner. It is now I welcome tonight's keynote, Ms. Dorota Shortell, to the stage.
Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, all of you, for having me out here today to speak with you. I am super excited to be able to do this here in Portland because I live in Portland. Yay, Portland! I took over for the founder of Simplexity Product Development 7 years ago. Those of you who heard my talk from engineer to leader, don't worry, this is not the same talk. This is part 2. In engineer to leader, I talked about what it took for me to go from an engineering role to the CEO of Simplexity, and now I'm going to talk about what it means and what it takes to be a CEO. What do you think of when you hear the word CEO, Chief Executive Officer? In your mind, what do you picture? What are the connotations, the positive ones, the negative ones? Who do you picture? My guess is you probably picture one of these top CEOs who are in the news. Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. These are the people that come to mind. How many of you picture yourself when you hear the word CEO? Why not, if you don't? I'm here to challenge you. I'm here to challenge your assumptions and say you should think of yourself when you hear the words CEO. I never thought about being a CEO when I was sitting there in the beginning of my engineering career. Never occurred to me at all, not one iota. You're going to be ahead of me because it's going to occur to you because I'm going to challenge you and put that thought in your mind that you too one day can be CEO. I mean, the closest I ever came to thinking I would be a CEO is I remember in graduate school, one of my friends was saying, this was in the Bay Area, they're going to do a startup. Everyone was talking about what startup they were going to do, right? And I'm like, I'm not going to do a startup. But then I thought, but maybe one day I'd take over and run a company. I'm pretty organized. That was the closest. That was the closest. But not CEO. It's something that helps organize, right? Now, if you look at the slide here, what do you notice about these CEOs that I've pictured? Lack of diversity, right? For example, there's one woman. This is actually incredibly representative of the number of women CEOs. So in Fortune magazine this past year, that lists the 500 CEOs, 32 were women. That's 1 in 16, like in the previous slide, just over 6%. Now guess what? People were cheering. They said this is the highest number of women CEOs ever on the Fortune 500 list. And now actually it's lower because 6 of those women have left their positions and many of them are going to be replaced by men again. We here at SWE talk about how underrepresented women are in engineering. Well, this is even worse. I couldn't believe that. You know, this is something that we at SWE, we at Local, we can do something about. This is why I'm talking to you here tonight. Because you probably, I didn't think about it, and you probably haven't thought about it, but you should. But don't focus on this statistic. Here's the one I really want you to focus on. So taking the top 100 top performing CEOs, 24 of them have an engineering degree. Is there anyone in this room that has an engineering degree? We all know that men and women are equally qualified to be engineers. So 24% of you are equally qualified to be CEO. Why not? The numbers are there. It's only logical. We here, as engineers, have certain skill sets. We have a foundation that we can rely on to become great CEOs. You're already learning that in your career path, especially those of you who've started to do more leadership. This is not some sort of crazy notion, oh, get the CEO up there, she's going to be the only one. No, there's no reason that I can stand up here and say I'm CEO of an organization and that you can't be. This is my challenge to you and each and every one of you, to start picturing yourself and thinking about it. Now, the first time that someone said to me, hey, you should take over and run this organization, I said no. And I think some of you have heard that before. That's okay, because then once I got to it, I realized I really, really liked it. So now that I'm tasking you, let's talk about what does it take to be a CEO. And I'm going to focus on 6 areas. There's a lot of different skill sets, a lot of different literature that's been written about CEOs. This is based on my personal experience, and not just of me, but now that I've been in this role for a number of years, I attend business groups and I interact with other CEOs. So I've gotten to see what are the skills that are needed in this position. And the 6 I'm going to focus on today, here in this slide: culture, financials, people, negotiation, vision, and execution. And I'll get into details on each and every one of these. All right, let's talk about culture. So as I said, when I took over as CEO, I didn't know if I'd liked it. I liked engineering. No problem. I can just cue you and it'll be fine. I liked engineering. And what I liked about engineering was the creative process. I enjoyed being able to design and create a product. I enjoyed being able to see something that I'd created out in the market. That was really exciting to me. And what I realized as I got into the job, actually pretty quickly, that I was applying that exact same creative process, but instead of designing a product, I was designing a company. I was designing an organization. And for me, culture is so key. So let's talk about culture. What does culture mean, right? Culture, there's written parts of culture like the values, for example, and I know some other speakers today and yesterday talked about values. So at Simplexity, we have 4 core values. And those values are integrity, employee well-being, client success, and product development excellence. And if you're in my organization, you know that because I've created a whole awards program about celebrating when people live those values. Those are really important. And culture is defined by that. And then there's every organization has the values and they have it written down. And the question though is how does it become part of culture? Culture is not just what you write down. Culture is the heart, it's the personality of an organization. It's the written, it's the unwritten rules, it's the behavior. And as a CEO and someone at the top of an organization, it's your responsibility and your privilege to get to shape that culture. So think about where you work. What are the parts of culture that you really like? Now what are the parts of the culture that you don't like? Now imagine that you're now CEO of your organization. You get to fix that. You get to affect that. You get to create change. You get to make this world through your organization the type of place that you want to work and that people like you want to work. Just like we choose our friends based on personality fit, we choose our organizations based on culture fit. So for me, I asked my employees, I said, what is the most important thing about our culture that you value? I got a lot of great responses and a lot of great stories back. And the number one theme that came up most often was the word flexibility. And I love that. I love that. And this is why I loved it. Because when I was an engineer, I had the privilege of being able to have some flexibility in my work and my life. I have 2 children, they're a little bit older now, but when they were real little, I had the flexibility to work from home, to work part-time, and I really valued that. And so when I became the CEO, I said, I'm going to embrace that, and I'm going to amp it up even more so. So there was a story that one of my employees shared saying, as a single parent, the flexible work schedule has been one of the most important things for me because I'm able to take my daughter to doctor's appointments and to dentist appointments and to martial arts classes. And one month, Grandma was in the hospital for 3 days. We were able to visit Grandma. I was able to take my daughter there. And the comment was, I have no idea how other single parents do this without having an organization that's that flexible. The thing to note is this was a male engineer. This was not a female engineer. Flexibility is important for me and the women who have kids. Yes, absolutely. But I'm taking it to the next level. I want flexibility for men as well as for women. I want flexibility when your family needs you there. But then what if you don't have family needs and you're working really hard? So for me, I have high expectations. Everyone will tell you that. I want people to excel. But I want them to do that in the way that they can. So as long as they are meeting their goals and meeting the client needs and being there for their team and having excellent performance, I don't care when they work. They don't have to ask for permission because I trust them and they trust the organization. So yes, if someone's got a kid and they've got a school performance, absolutely go to your school performance. Just make sure you let your team know. You don't want to let people down. But at the same time, I've got young, single employees, engineers who don't have family commitments, and why should they have to be there from 8 to 5 when other people don't? It's beautiful. Here in Portland, it's beautiful sometimes, right? It's raining a lot of times. And on that one day when you know, Tuesday, it's beautiful and sunny, and the rest of the week and the whole weekend, it's gonna rain, I don't want people to pretend they're sick and call in sick. I want them to go rock climbing and send me pictures and say, this is what I did on a Tuesday, and yeah, I'll make up the work in the evening or the weekend. As long as you don't have meetings or commitments, go for it. Enjoy life. You don't want to wait till you retire. That's what I value. That's the organization I'm creating. Now, you might have completely different values. Values aren't right or wrong. I'm able to create that because I'm putting myself out there and creating the environment I want people to work in. Now, you might have other values that you're thinking, man, wouldn't that be cool? Well, guess what? You may one day have that opportunity to create an organization and to live those values and to give other people that opportunity through you. All right, culture. Culture is my favorite, but we got to talk about financials. So, like it or not, CEOs are judged by the financial performance of the company. The statistics I gave you of the top 100 performing CEOs was not based on their culture, although it does affect the financials. And I had a whole talk about how culture affects the financials of your organization, because it does. But they're graded by the financial performance. So let's talk a little bit about money and financials. The only formal money-related class I had in school was engineering economics. Any of you had to take that when you had to do your FEEIT exam? That's it. That's the only one I had. I don't have an MBA. I have a bachelor's and a master's in engineering. So I get placed into this CEO role. And one of the points I like to make is you don't have to know everything before you take the job. You just have to know how to learn and how you're going to get there. So I didn't really know much about financials, but I'm smart. I'll figure it out. So what I did is I learned from other people I got books, and I got to the point where at least I understood what financial statements are. And then you have a good team. You're not doing it all by yourself. That helps you understand this. And some of this stuff is pretty common sense, and as engineers, we're good at math, so we can figure out accounting, even though double bookkeeping is kind of a weird thing. One of the things, though, that you have to realize is there's a few things that are a little bit odd and that don't necessarily come as second nature. And one of these things is the story about cash. So there's a difference between profit and cash. Profit is how much money you're generating. So a few years ago, our company was growing really fast. You heard some of the statistics. So we were growing 60% in 1 year. We were doing awesome. So clients are hiring us. We're doing cool engineering projects. We're hiring engineers. We're going. But the thing is we pay our engineers, every 2 weeks? That's usually how often you get paid. But when do clients pay us? Well, they pay us after the work is done and not immediately, like 30, 60, hopefully not longer days. So when a company grows really fast, even if you're profitable, your profits are going, through the roof, you have to worry about cash, meaning how are you going to pay people before you get paid? And this is even more pronounced in a company that does products, we're doing design engineering services, right? How are you going to pay people? And so what we had to do is we have a line of credit, and we as the owners actually had to loan the company money at one point in time so we could make payroll. The company was profitable, was doing great, but you have to make those decisions and figure out how you're going to do that. We're a small business. We're not venture-backed. We're all the way that we've funded our growth is through the money coming into the company and through having a bank and debt. So let's talk about some parallels here. Most of you here are engineers. How many of you, most of you who probably have credit cards, how many of you, show of hands here, pay their credit card full balance off every single month? At least half, maybe 60%. So you've got an advantage here as a fiscally responsible engineer, because slide. There we go. Most of you are ahead of the general population. So only about 35% of the general population pays off their credit cards every month. So as an engineer, you're already fiscally responsible, you're already thinking about how to save, and most of the engineers I know, not all, are pretty good at that. And as a leader of a company, you have to be pretty good at that. So, there's the stories of the people who got millions of dollars in venture funding and they just went hog wild. They rented huge, expensive office suites with ping pong tables and personal masseuses and buying, gold-rimmed sunglasses with their logos on it, and they ran out of money, right? That's not us. We don't do that, not most of us. Actually, the thing that I had to learn more so was the other side of it, the risk side of it, that I couldn't be financially and fiscally conservative like I am in my personal finances, that it was okay to take on debt, that it was okay to max out $500,000 of a line of credit for growth reasons, as long as it was for the right reasons. This is not something that made me personally comfortable to do. I don't like debt. I like to pay stuff off. But had I not taken on debt, the company couldn't grow. So that's one of those financial things that you have to stretch yourself a little bit to think about, well, how do you grow a company? Or what do you do? And I'm really happy we've paid off all the debt. We stopped growing so fast. We're still now growing faster, so we might be at that point again. But as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, debt is good. It can help. So the third area I want to talk about is finding the right people. Hiring and firing, and building a team. I can say that the reason that Simplexity has been as successful as it has been is because of the people. We have done a great job finding the right talent and being able to create that organization. How many of you in this room have hired people before? What, about 20% maybe? 10, 20%? How many of you have served on an interview team that affected the hiring decisions? About half of you. I recommend you do that because that helps get you that training and also makes you think about who do you want to be on your team and how do you want to do that. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the other side of that, the firing. That usually doesn't get talked about because it's not a comfortable topic. How many of you have had to fire somebody before? Just a handful, 5 or 6. So let's talk about that. Because very many people won't talk about it. But as a CEO and as a leader of an organization, you have to think about that. So the case for firing someone when they've done something horrible like stolen money from the company, okay, that's hard, but that's justified. Here's what's really hard. The case when you have to fire someone who's a good person. The case when it's just not the right fit or they're not able to perform the job, that's brutal. A few years ago, we had a very difficult time financially. We didn't have enough work to support the people we have, and companies go through those cycles. I pulled everybody together and explained what the situation was, because I believe in transparency and communication. And for as long as we could financially, we job shared and reduced hours and reduced costs to not have to fire or lay anyone off. And then there came the time when it was inevitable. It was a point where I knew that if we didn't lay at least some of the people off, the whole company would go under. That was the worst decision I've ever had to make. Because they were good people. And I knew I had to do that. It was one of the few times that after making that decision, I went home and I cried because I felt like a failure. I felt like I had let every single one of those individuals down. And I share this because I don't want to mislead you that it's all fun and games. It's not. But if you do that with dignity and respect, you can get through that too. I'm happy to say we were able to rehire a number of those people. Still tough. But the thing that makes you a good leader is being able to do the difficult things when you know you have to. So as a corollary, maybe this will help a little bit in perspective. How many of you have ever had to break up with a boyfriend or girlfriend? Was it fun? Not usually. Was it the right thing to do? Yeah, in retrospect, probably. And if you've had the courage to have those difficult conversations, instead of just texting someone, then you've actually had some experience that you can relate. And it's the people that have that emotional intelligence and maturity that are able to take on the roles that have the responsibility and the opportunity, because it's not just fun and games, and when it is, you figure out a way to do it with as much dignity as you possibly can. All right, Let's stop wiping the tears from our eyes here and talk about something a little bit more positive. I promise that was the most depressing part of the talk. We're all going uphill now. So the next area I want to talk about is negotiation. So here at We Local, we had some great sessions about negotiation. I attended one of them yesterday. I know there's a couple others. And the negotiation piece that was talked about was personal kind of negotiation, negotiating for your salary and so forth, which is important. So negotiation is important no matter where you are in your career, or even if you're still a student. There's no point in time where negotiation is not important. So these are skills that are always, always, always good to develop. It'll never hurt you to be a better negotiator. But what I had to learn once I got in this role was not negotiating for myself, but negotiating for my company. And again, this was another opportunity that I had to make a stronger company by the deals that I could negotiate for the company. So I'll give you an example, and unfortunately I can't kind of share all the details because it's actually a confidential example, so I'll play around a little bit with it to try to give you the gist of it. So there was a deal I was negotiating with a potential client. And I actually brought in a negotiation expert to help me and to help coach me. So rather than just handing off the negotiation, I wanted to learn and learn to be better. And the first offer on the table wasn't a very good one. And so here's the mistake that most people make, and that I made, and that I've learned about negotiation. In order to be a good negotiator, you have to be okay with disharmony and conflict. I love harmony. I want everyone to get along. That's my perfect world. Yay, everyone, let's get along. With negotiation, you can't do that because you'll take a bad deal just to make everyone get along. So I had to learn to be okay with disharmony, with uncomfortable silence. How you doing with that? People like to fill silence, and they'll fill it with a bad offer. I had to be okay with time and using time to get a better deal, to understand the other side's position and what their best alternative was to a negotiated agreement. And in that negotiation, I realized that us as a leadership team, we wanted to just take a deal and be done with it, right? We wanted to get moving on it. And we realized that actually the other party, they needed to be done with it faster, and it was more important for them. And so what we did is we waited. And that was hard. I like to get stuff done. I like to have a resolution. But by waiting weeks, not days, we got a much better deal on the table. And the true value of a good negotiation is creating a win-win. So it's not a haggling, I give you this much, like kind of like at the flea market. It's not haggling. It's what's the value that you are bringing to the table? What's the value they are bringing? How can you mesh those? How do you create a creative solution that works best for both parties? Engineering again here, creative solutions, right? It's not just money. It's what else can you bring to it? And what was really amazing about going through that experience of negotiating for my company, and again, being coached by one of the experts in this, was A, the deal was tens of thousands of higher than it would have been had we, just kind of compromised on the first deal. And B, the relationship between our company and their company was stronger because of it. And that I did not expect. So negotiation, again, for yourself is one thing, but for the company, it's now affecting, for me, 75 plus different people. And so it's really important for me to get good at this negotiation. All right, we got 2 more areas here, vision and execution. So vision is figuring out where you want to go, whether it's your personal vision or for your company. And execution is figuring out a plan to actually get you there. So as an example, I want you guys to think back on your last few vacations. Got your last few vacations? How many of you, raise your hand, if you came up with the idea of where to go on vacation? All right, maybe 40% of you. Now, how many of you came up with the detailed plan, booked the tickets, all the hotels, and hour by hour you knew exactly where you're going to go? A few more of you. So one is vision, you can figure out which one. One's execution. Some people are naturally better at one, some are naturally better at the other, and some are good at both. And you do need both. But you don't have to be good at both you personally, because you know what? If you're going on vacation with someone else, one person can do the vision, the other can do the execution. Same in the company, right? You don't have to be good at everything, as long as you have other people that are good at it. So let's talk about Simplexity's vision as an example. So when I took over the company 7 years ago, as mentioned, it was pretty small. It had 2 offices in San Diego and 1 here in the Portland area across the river in Vancouver, Washington. And I started to evolve the company and think about what we wanted to do and what we wanted to be. And at that time, we're a pretty general engineering design services company. We'll design stuff for anyone that wants stuff designed. It was about that well-defined. And as we started to think about, well, what are our strengths? What's my vision for this organization? What can we be? And this was a group process. It's not just me. Started to think about how can we distinguish ourselves in the marketplace? What are we uniquely qualified to do that others don't do as well? And we realized that mechatronics, and a lot of you who are engineers know that word, but that intersection between mechanical, electrical, computer engineering, and control systems was a real skill and an asset, and doing that especially for higher volume design of products. So our vision, the vision that we have, that we helped craft for our organization, is to be the mechatronics design engineering leader on the West Coast. We wrote it down, share that with the company, that's where we're going. And so how did having that vision help us? So here's an example of how it helped us. Last year, about almost around this time, maybe a little bit later, it was the end of April, there was a similar kind of a competitor design engineering firm in Seattle that went out of business. Very sudden. And knowing that our vision was to be the mechatronics leader on the West Coast, it was actually a fairly quick decision to say, hey, Seattle's on the West Coast, and we had just opened an office in the Bay Area, and even though it was financially a little bit taxing to open another new location, we knew this opportunity wasn't going to come around very often. And so based on that vision, I said, all right, it's going to be painful because we've just invested all this money in opening a Bay Area office, but we're going to do it. We're going to open that Seattle office, and we did, and it's been very successful, and it's now up to 12 people. But yet someone else came to me and said, well, do you want to open an office in Montana? And they did. I actually did get that email. And I said, no, not now, not in my current vision. It's a lot harder to say no than to say yes. And as engineers, we have a lot of great ideas, and we like to do them. So as another example, we said, well, the markets that we work in are biotech and consumer devices, electromechanical systems, so designing 3D printers, designing DNA sequencing machines. These are the markets we want to work in. And sometimes there's clients that come to us, potential clients, that have really cool engineering projects, but they're not in those markets, and they're not in mechatronics. And having that vision gives us the discipline to say no to money coming in the form of projects, which is hard. It creates alignment about where we're going as an organization. And then the last part of this, the sixth area I'm going to talk about is the execution piece. And a number of you raised your hands that are good at execution. I love execution. I am a detail-oriented planner, and I like to put together a plan and make it happen. So how do I then execute on this vision that I've helped create for the company? One of the things that I do is I set, here's where we're going. And then I take the executive management team and the directors of the different department areas, and we figure out, well, who's going to do what to meet that vision. So, for example, marketing's got to help define what mechatronics means and create blog posts about it and videos so people understand what that is. And sales has to approach the right type of clients in the target markets so that we grow in the direction we want to grow. And engineering, well, we've got to train the engineers and have the right tools so we can execute on the type of projects we want to do. When recruiting and HR, well, we got to find the right type of engineers that have the expertise in the markets in the area that we want to do. And well, the production manager and the prototyping people, well, we have to make sure that we can make the parts. So it all aligns. And I like to do stuff on the cloud, so we have an initiative dashboard where everyone's got what are they going to get done and how are they going to do it to get to the vision, and how are we going to follow that plan so we can actually do what we think we want to do. So that's that execution piece, is to follow through and actually create the plan and make sure it gets done. And for me as the CEO, I have two important roles in that. One is make sure we have a plan, and the second one is accountability. Is making sure that people are accountable to themselves to do what they say they do, and if they're not, then I get the fun job of making sure that I'm keeping them accountable and say, hey, this was due, where is it? This type of planning is probably fairly natural to a number of you, and for those of you that it isn't, it's something you can learn, or it's something that you can hire someone who is good at it. All right, so in summary here, got 6 areas I've talked about. Now, if you only remember one thing from what I'm going to tell you, it's this. I want you to get better at the 1 or 2 areas that you're the best in. The one you're already good in. I don't want you to look at this list and say, what's the worst area I'm in? And I'll work on that, because maybe I'll get to average. Maybe I'll be mediocre in that. Being average in all 6 areas is not going to set you apart. The CEOs that I know are not excellent in every one of these 6 areas. But they are excellent in a few of them. And they've risen above because they get really good at one of these areas. Now, your company has to be excellent in all these areas, but I'm not creating a one-person company. You're hiring. Remember point number 3 here with people? You're hiring people. You're going to hire the people that are excellent. So where can you be excellent? So now I want you to think, and you don't have anything to write with, but I want you to mentally write down what is the area that when I was describing, you felt pretty comfortable about, like, yeah, I got that down. Yeah, I know that one. Like, I'm not really, that's not a stretch for me. I'm pretty good at that. Or what is the area that you think I can get really good at? Pick one, at least one, have one mentally noted in your mind. Maybe even up to 2, 3, probably 4 is about the most I want you to, but think of at least one and a few. Which are the ones you're good at? All right, you got it? Need more time? Thumbs up, yeah? How many of you picked culture? Show of hands. All right. Now, of those hands that are up, stand up if you're actually willing to do something about it. You, right there. Stand up. Keep standing up. But I saw you stand up first. What's your name?
April Mills.
April. All right. So April, you're on the other keynote for at lunch, right? Have you read this book? Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last.
Yeah.
All right. Who's the second person that stood up? What's your name?
Joanna?
Joanna. Have you read this book?
No, can I read it?
Yes. This is a gift. Joanna is going to become our culture guru. She is going to excel. She is going to be awesome at creating culture, and that's just the beginning of the books you're going to read. That's number one. You're going to find all the books on culture, and you're going to be a rock star on culture. All right. Number two, financials. How many of you, when I was talking about financials, said, yeah, that's an area that I actually would be interested in? Less? All right. Now, who wants to actually learn more about financials, especially if you're a manager? Stand up. All right. Back there. What's that? You're just short. All right. I love it. You guys get to fight over this. Who has not read Finance for Managers? Have you read it? All right, come on up. Short's got to win every once in a while. What's your name?
I'm Savannah.
What's that?
Savannah.
Savannah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, Finance for Managers. This, some of you might consider very dry, but not Savannah, because Savannah is going to be our awesome finance person. And when you need to hire someone for your company because you don't want to do finance, this is who you're going to hire.
Thank you.
All right, people. So those of you that raised their hands very tentatively when I talked about breakups, and you're like, I can't believe she's talking about breakups in a SWE conference. Those of you who said, I'm good at people and I can do both sides, raise your hands. All right, great. Now, who's willing to have those difficult conversations? Ooh, a lot of you. I love it. All right, you stood up here first. Remind me your name again?
Nicole.
Nicole. This is the book for you. Fierce Conversations. Have you read this book?
I have not.
You need to read this book. I've read this book, and this one tells you the language you need to know to have both good and bad conversations. And don't worry, for those of you that want to know these books, I'll have a handout at the end with them so you don't have to jot them down on your phone or anything. All right, you are going to be our fierce conversator.
Thanks so much.
Negotiation. Who likes to negotiate? Now, this is a classic. So stand up if you have not read Getting to Yes. All right, you guys tell me who stood up first. I was not paying attention. All right, over here. What's your name?
Anna.
Anna. You are going to become a negotiation guru. People are going to be so afraid to go against the table with you, Anna, because they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she is such a good negotiator. But then they're going to love it because you're going to create these win-win relationships. So here you go, Anna.
Thank you.
All right, those of you who said, I'm the idea person and the vision and the strategy. Oh yeah, we got a lot of you. And those of you who I'm going to start having to do an interview or something. All right. Those of you who care about strategy and vision and want to learn what good and bad strategy is. All right, man, there's a lot of you. All right, you can also buy these books. They are available in the bookstore. Come on up. What's your name?
Alexis.
Alexis. Sorry, did I miss you here in front? Okay. Alexis. All right. So Alexis is you're gonna be our vision person. You're gonna figure out where we're going, and you're gonna figure out the good strategy part and not the bad strategy part. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, who's got a better idea of how to hand out this book? Because I bet a number of you are good at execution. Rock, paper, scissors. Do you have to? How's this?
Pick a number.
Whoever can come up here and tell me a good execution and planning story gets my favorite book on execution.
Wait, do they all have to tell you a story?
How much time do we have? Not enough time. All right. Whoever can run up here the fastest. I love the stage diving. Okay. You guys get to fight over this book afterwards. You can rip it in half. What's your name?
Hannah.
Hannah, I like your zeal. Four disciplines of execution, yes. We have handouts with all of these books, plus an extra one for each category. So 2 of my favorite books in each category, you will be getting those. So if you didn't quite make it to get a book, you get to now buy or rent, there are libraries, most of them are in the library, and read those books. All right, my final thoughts here. There's a statistic that it takes women being asked 7 times to accept a leadership position. 7 times. I didn't count, but I was actually asked to take over as CEO a year before I did. So I live this. I'm not going to talk about the reasons why, because it doesn't matter. The point is, consider this ask number 1. I am asking each of you to consider rising to the occasion of being the top leader in your organization. I am asking you because we as 24% of engineers can do it, but only if we rise to the occasion. And when you do, because I know some of you will, contact me. My contact information's on the sheet I just handed out. And we'll go out and we'll celebrate the opportunities that you have created. And I'll buy you lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorota, for your remarks. We do have a few moments, so who would like to be the first question?
All right, you said that the first time you were asked, you said no. So what changed your mind, or what was the moment?
The reason I said no was I was still working part-time, and my daughter was in preschool. And I knew that taking over an organization would require me to work full-time, and I didn't want to do it. And so when my daughter went to kindergarten, the founder came, asked me again, and said, she's in kindergarten, full-day kindergarten. So I said yes, but I wasn't sure still, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to try it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? You just ruin the whole organization. That's what shifted, yeah. Time and willing to try it, so.
Hi, Dorota. This is Stephanie from Columbia River. Thank you for doing this.
Sure.
I thank you for sharing the most difficult decision that you had to make too. I think we really appreciate you sharing that with us. I'm just wondering, what do you consider to be the most rewarding side of being a CEO so far?
The most rewarding side of the CEO? I think crafting that culture is really number one for me. But the other side that I like is, since it's an engineering organization that I'm working in, it's really fun to see a team being able to design really cool products that work. and then having clients compliment our engineers. I love that. I love it. We actually have, this kind of unsolicited compliment thing that I do. When someone comes up and says, "Oh my gosh, this engineer just rocked it and they were awesome." I live for that. I love when people on my team can be successful. It makes me successful. I mean, that's my favorite. Coral Jean, I think back there.
I'm getting in my steps.
Number 7 should be having a thick skin.
Number 7, having a thick skin. Oh yeah, you have to be able to take some punches, right? Not everyone's going to be happy with you. It's sort of, I equate a little bit to parenting in some ways, right? Sometimes I have to do things my kids aren't real happy with me about, but it's good for them. Now, it's not quite the same relationship. You're not a parent of your employees, but sometimes you make decisions and not everyone is happy with them. So you just kind of suck it up and move on, and you try to make the best decision you can. Yeah. Question here. Oh, there.
Hi, my name is Megan. So I've been kind of going around, and the big question I've been asking everybody is, a lot of us are graduating seniors or are in college, moving into the working world. What is something that you wish you would have known going into the working world that you could tell your 21, 22-year-old self?
What I had wished, let's see. One of the things I learned, it's actually probably that I would have told my 19-year-old self while I was still in school, was to pay more attention to writing classes. Engineering is really good, but you have to be a good writer and communicator. So that's one of the things that I always try to tell people still in school is the engineers that have an engineering education, you're at a certain level, but the ones that can also communicate and write are the ones that rise above. The other part of the career, I guess, when I was starting my career, I didn't write written goals. I do it now, and since I took over as CEO, I've joined some business groups and other CEO groups, and we have a discipline of writing written goals. And sometimes I'd write goals, but I was not really good at it. It really does help. It's not just a lie that they make up to say write your goals down. Because now that I write my goals down, and I've done this for 4 or 5 years now pretty religiously, and then I have people follow up to make sure I meet those goals, I've accomplished a lot more. And had I done that when I was 22 and said, here's my goal, I kind of had unwritten goals. I even told my manager I wanted to be project manager, I want to do this, but I never actually sat down and wrote professional and personal goals. It is a good practice. It's maybe doesn't feel as natural for some people, and I didn't really think about it. But now that I do it, and I write down, top 3 business goals and top 3 personal goals every year, and then I make sure I do something about them. It's made me, for example, work out regularly. It's made me figure out where the company should go. It's made me a better public speaker. That was one of my goals about 4 years ago.
Hi, my name is Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
I was wondering, so being a CEO, it seems more like a job with people versus technology or manufacturing or whichever engineering discipline you're into. So what's the difference between what you were doing at first and now, and how do you like it in comparison to kind of being the grunt work?
It's a good question. I like both, to be honest. And if you hate people and hate being around people, you probably shouldn't be CEO. So that's why it's not 100% of you are going to be CEO. What I really liked about engineering was doing CAD. I loved CAD. Oh my gosh, it was like Christmas, right? I loved creating stuff and getting the parts back and putting them together and seeing how they work. So do I miss it? A little bit, I do, but I get a lot of job satisfaction from creating organizations and other things that I don't pine for it or anything. I mean, I still fix stuff around the house, and I still get to see what the other engineers are doing. But if you love that, and if you never want to do anything but that, then yeah, be an excellent technical leader, and there's technical tracks and so forth. So it's not for everyone, but it's for a lot more of you than you think.
See, we have time for one more.
Hi, so I understand that running a company with a lot of people, you have to oversee everything that goes on. What happens when you have things that get out of control that aren't in your control? How do you deal with that? How do you overcome with that?
How do I deal with things out of my control that are out of control? Oh, I don't like that because I'm a control freak. I've had to let go. It's hard. That's one of the hardest things for me is I like things in control. I don't know if you guys get that sense. It's hard for me to delegate. But you have to do it. And one of the things that I have to do now is I do a lot more coaching than I used to, that I even really thought I'd have to do. So instead of being the manager of a particular engineer, if there's something that goes wrong, I can't go and talk to that engineer directly because that's undermining the manager, right, who's doing that job. So my role is more of a coach, to coach the managers, to help them with the problems so they can solve them. One of the speakers I've heard in the past says that as a leader, you need to ask 20 times more questions than give answers. That's a hard one, especially as engineers. We like to give answers. But asking the questions and letting others figure out how to do stuff creates an organization that can grow, because if all the answers have to come to my desk, you know, how much can I handle in a day? I'd be overloaded. And so you have to be okay with other people making mistakes and things being out of control, giving them that leeway and not just yelling at them, but coaching them and saying, well, how are we going to do this better next time? All right, thanks.
Thank you, Dorota, for being our We Achieve ceremony keynote speaker. As a token of our appreciation, please accept this gift.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
So to continue, tonight is about recognizing several generations who are contributing to the future of STEM. And to kick off tonight's award ceremony with the SWE Next Northrop Grumman Community Awards, I welcome Ms. Jerry Lynn Metzger from Northrop Grumman to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. What a night. I'm honored to be here tonight to recognize Northrop Grumman's community awardees. At Northrop, we understand that engineering is a way to make the world a better place. Therefore, we place a high value on strong women role models in engineering and technology. So we teamed up with SWE Next for a second year to honor high school students who delivered solutions to future and ongoing challenges facing We Local host cities. For We Local Portland, high school students were challenged to reduce the suffering homelessness brings, or help alleviate the road congestion problem now and mitigate the future impact. Students created posters and presented their ideas to SWE members and their community during the SWE Next Design Lab program this afternoon. I encourage you to take a moment to view their award-winning posters displayed here tonight. I am proud to announce the 2018 recipient of the SWE Next Northrop Grumman Community Award Portland was Jasmine Chang. Unfortunately, Jasmine is unable to be in attendance tonight because her team made the first robotics semifinals. I now welcome back Jen Bly to the stage to present the SWE Next Local Innovator Awards.
Good evening, SWE. It is my pleasure to recognize 3 SWE Next Local Innovator awardees. This award is given to SWE Nexters who have been actively engaged in their SWE community, have a solid understanding of engineering principles, play a role in serving their own community, and demonstrate strong leadership skills. However, before I bring our future women engineers to the stage, I invite you to look at the screen to watch a short video which highlights their submissions these future leaders provided to receive the award.
Hello, my name is Kira Corbett and I'm a senior at Clackamas Web Academy. I'm interested in pursuing a degree in computer science and biomedical engineering. I've had the privilege of being the first ever team captain on Skynet Robotics Team 2550. Working on a male-dominant team, it took a lot of determination to demonstrate that I too can do the things that they can do. I was accepted to intern at Autodesk, a global software company, to work on Synthesis, a virtual robotics simulator. Synthesis allows teams to test, design, and experiment with their ideas without having to go through the manufacturing process. I became interested in helping animals after witnessing a hit and run on a Sheltie dog. It has been a humbling experience to be able to help change the lives of these dogs, and even better, for me to be able to pursue a degree in biomedical engineering to, in hopes, do 3D prosthetic printing for animals.
Hi everyone, my name is Angela Zhang, and I'm currently a senior at Courtsville High School from Palmdale, California. I am an inspiring aerospace engineer with concentration in aeronautical to one day go into the commercial aircraft business. I was at UCLA and walking around in the engineering halls, and I stumbled upon a poster promoting the Society of Engineers UCLA chapter. I was so inspired that there was a club promoting my passions that I ended up emailing to start a club at my school and doing outreach events with the professional chapter. So a few weeks ago, we just went to Lockheed Martin and we're part of this Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day.
I may not be an engineer yet, but I'm a reverse engineer. My team and I won first place in our district STEM Expo. I may not be an engineer yet, but I know how to do calculus. I may not be an engineer yet, but I know how to program. I may not be an engineer yet, but I organize people for my school's walkout.
I now welcome the 2018 recipients of the SWE Next Local Innovator Awards to the stage as Angela Zhang, Kira Corbett, and come on. Congratulations. Kira Corbett, who is unable to attend as she is competing in the first robotics competition tonight. And Mars Gifford. Our next group of awards will be presented by Nicole Woon. Let's welcome Nicole to the stage.
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Woon and I'm a member of the We Local Advisory Board. I'm incredibly honored to be here tonight to help in awarding the We Local Portland Collegiate Competition finishing places. This competition is divided into two categories, undergraduate and graduate, where finalists competed in an online abstract submission, an on-site poster competition, 15-minute lightning talks, and a face-to-face Q&A session with judges. Each finalist was judged on technical information presented, applicability and contribution to the scientific community, and the clarity, creativity, and organization of their poster. Finalists, as your name is called, please come to the stage to accept your certificates. So we'll first recognize our awardees in the undergraduate category. In fourth place, we have Deanna Laquan from Alone College. In third place, we have Alyssa Escoto, also Alone College. In second place, we have Noor Rady, Alone College. And last but not least, in first place, we have Rhiannon Smith, Utah State. All right, and next we'll be recognizing our awardees in the graduate category. So in fifth place, we have Felicia Cecilio, Oregon State University. In fourth place, Jamie Kunapali, the University of Texas at Dallas. In third place, Dorcas Kawisa, the Pennsylvania State University. In second place, Margot Farnham, University of Delaware. All right, and finally, in first place, Jessica Soto Rodriguez, University of Washington. Congratulations to all of our collegiate competition winners. Our next group of awards will be presented by Joy Marsala. Let's invite Joy to the stage.
All right. Thank you so much for being here this evening. My name is Joy Marsala, and I am the scholarship chair of the local Columbia River section. As we celebrate the beginning of the SWE local conferences, we are taking the opportunity to recognize the accomplishments of individuals that have been in this local area. So tonight, we are recognizing a collegiate member who is the recipient of the Columbia River Section Achievement Scholarship. The individual who receives this award must have the following to be eligible. They must be a female SWE member in good standing, must be active within the SWE collegiate section, and must be a full-time student, sophomore or higher, with a minimum GPA of 3. It is my honor tonight to formally recognize Polina Polikakina. Unfortunately, she is unable to attend tonight, but I would like to share a few words about her. She was born and raised in Russia, and after moving to Anchorage, Alaska, she realized that urban development is a significant problem in the modern world. She moved to Portland and attends Portland State University as she majors in civil engineering. She's planning to attend graduate school for transportation planning. This year, she is also serving as a captain for the Portland State University Steel Bridge team. That competition is where students are tasked with designing and fabricating a steel bridge. She is currently there right now, actually, at the regional conference, which is why she cannot be here tonight. Congratulations to Polina. I would now like to welcome Amy Williams to recognize our section awards.
Good evening. My name is Amy Williams, and I am the Region J Awards Chair. and it has been my incredible honor to learn about the people and activities that drive our association towards our mission: inspire, advance, achieve. The next set of awards celebrate the programs and individuals who best exemplify SWE values of professional excellence and mutual support. The Professional Development Program Section Award is presented to the most outstanding program for career or professional development. This year, the Professional Section Award is presented to the Columbia River Section. The Collegiate Professional Development Program Award is presented to the University of Washington section. The Outreach Program Section Award is presented to the Collegiate and Professional section with the Best Outreach Program for K-12 Guidance. It is with congratulations that I would like to recognize the Eastern Washington section. I would also like to recognize the University of Washington section as the most outstanding outreach program for collegiate sections. The Emerging Leader Award recognizes one professional leader and one collegiate leader. These hardworking, creative individuals exemplify the best of us in our technical excellence and engagement with SWE. I would like to thank everyone who applied to these awards. You made our job extremely difficult. Tonight, I would like to recognize our professional emerging leader, Nikita Tiwari. I would also like to recognize our collegiate emerging leader, Mitali Palekar. Congratulations once again to all the award recipients and sections, and thank you to everyone who submitted a nomination. We were blown away by your remarkable accomplishments. Our final group of awards will be presented by the We Local Host Committee Chair, Nicole Woodman. Please join me in welcoming Nicole back to the stage.
Hello again. This weekend has not been possible without the support of SWE members who contributed to several activities taking place here at the downtown Marriott waterfront. However, sometimes a volunteer stands out from the crowd, and within the We Local Hosts Committee, there was one that did just that. I like to present the We Local Portland Outstanding Volunteer Award to Jill Murfin. Jill, thank you for supporting the SWE Design Lab by serving on the subcommittee and assisting our students who attended the event today. Thank you. Throughout the conference, we've had the privilege to hear from a wide variety of speakers share their experiences in over 40 breakout sessions. And during our time together, we asked each of you to vote via the mobile app for your People's Choice breakout session. This award is given to the individual who received the highest votes throughout the app. Congratulations, Alexis Canati. I'd now like to welcome back Marta Wicki to close We Local Portland. Marta?
What an impressive array of successes we just celebrated tonight. Let's give another round of applause for all the winners. Thank you again, We Local Portland sponsors, volunteers, and Region J for your time in selecting tonight's award recipients. We Local could not have been possible without you. As we continue through the transitions, I hope that each of you find an opportunity to continue to give back to our local community. And as the last check off your list tonight, if you have not already, please drop off your We Local registration badge. I forgot to bring mine up in the purple bins that are right outside. Again, we're trying to recycle as much of those as we can. Until Providence or 2019, We Local, good night and safe travels. This now concludes our We Local Portland. And one last announcement, if Columbia River section can come up at the end for a picture. That's one last request. Thank you.